What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for MLB Sunday, July 24th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's MLB slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 9-game slate today, so let's take a look at the pitcher position. So quite a few studs on the slate here today. I like Shane Bieber. He'd be one of my favorite pay-up studs. He's pitching against the Chicago White Sox, only giving up a .654 OPS versus righties, facing 6 righties. He also pitches a really good ball versus switch hitters, only giving up a .355 OPS versus switch hitters, and he's facing 2 switch hitters. And the White Sox have only hit 34 of his last 150 pitches, so that's a .227 batting average and a huge sample size. So Shane Bieber is $10,600 FanDuel salary, $1,300 less on DraftKings, averaging 35 fantasy points per game on the season. He has an ERA of 3.24, record is 4-5, pitching an average of 92 pitches per game. So I like Shane Bieber here versus the Chicago White Sox. Now I also like Nestor Cortes, and that's because the Orioles have only hit 9 of his last 46 pitches. It's a 196 batting average, and he's $10,000 FanDuel salary, $1,300 less on DraftKings, averaging 34 fantasy points per game on the season. He has an ERA of 2.63, record is 7-3, pitching an average of 88 pitches per game. So I like Nestor Cortes here versus the Baltimore Orioles. Now, if you want to save some salary at the pitcher position, take a look at Mitch Keller. He's got a nice pitching advantage here versus a low salary batting team, the Miami Marlins. Mitch Keller does pitch his best ball versus righty batters, giving up a .793 OPS versus righties. He's facing 7 righties here today, and the Marlins have only hit 6 of his last 30 pitches. That's a 200 batting average. He's only $7,500 FanDuel salary. He's $700 less on DraftKings, averaging 22 fantasy points per game on the season, but he's been on fire, scoring 40, 43, and 27 fantasy points in his last 3 games. He has an ERA of 4.55, record is 3-7, pitching an average of 85 pitches per game. So I like Mitch Keller here versus the Miami Marlins. Okay, let's take a look at the catcher first base position. A stud that I like is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's got a 25% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Brayan Bello. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. batting a .940 OPS versus righty pitchers, and Brayan Bello, he's giving up a 1.511 OPS versus righties, so he does pitch his worst ball versus righty batters. There's no at-bats versus Bello yet. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is $3,800 FanDuel salary, $1,200 more on DraftKings, averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored fantasy points in all 5 of his last games. He has a batting average of .273, and Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 11 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. here versus Brayan Bello. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won. And then we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Now a value play that I like is Danny Jansen. He's got a 34% batting advantage over that same pitcher, Brayan Bello. Danny Jansen, he bats 12% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .875 OPS versus righties. We know Brayan Bello pitching his worst ball versus righty batters, 22% worse than his pitch to lefties, giving up a 1.511 OPS versus righties. No at-bats versus Bello yet. Danny Jansen is $2,900 FanDuel salary, $900 more on DraftKings, averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season. He has a batting average of .260, so I like Danny Jansen here versus Brayan Bello. Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. I like Jorge Polanco. He's got a monster batting advantage here, 97% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Ronnie Garcia. Jorge Polanco batting 14% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .837 OPS versus righties. And Ronnie Garcia, he's pitching his worst ball versus switch hitters, currently giving up a 2.7 OPS versus switch hitters. Now Jorge Polanco is 1 for 4 versus Garcia. He's $3,400 FanDuel salary, $1,800 more on DraftKings, averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored fantasy points in all 5 of his last games. He has a batting average of .245, so I like Jorge Polanco here versus Ronnie Garcia. Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. I like Luis Arraez with a 35% batting advantage over Ronnie Garcia. Luis Arraez batting 28% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .827 OPS versus righties. Ronnie Garcia, now he's giving up a .485 OPS versus lefties. And Luis Arraez is 2 for 6 versus Garcia with a .833 OPS. He's only $2,800 FanDuel salary. He's $1,800 more on DraftKings, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored fantasy points in 4 out of his last 5 games, and he has a batting average of .342. So I like Luis Arraez here versus Ronnie Garcia. Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, who do we have at the shortstop position? Probably my favorite play on the slate. I like Xander Bogaerts. He's got an 8% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Ross Stripling. Xander Bogaerts batting a .847 OPS versus righty pitchers. Ross Stripling pitching his worst ball versus righty batters, 17% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .764 OPS versus righties. Now I like this pick because Xander Bogaerts is 5 for 11. That's a .455 batting average and a 1.273 OPS versus Stripling. He's got a home run and a double in there. He's $3,100 FanDuel salary, 1,800 more on DraftKings, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He has a batting average of .313, and Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 11 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Xander Bogaerts here versus Ross Stripling. Okay, moving on to the outfield position. Of course, Aaron Judge as a home run hitter. He's got a good matchup here versus Dean Kramer. I like George Springer, who's got a good matchup versus that low-salary pitcher, Brayan Bello. And then I like Lourdes Gurriel Jr. with a 37% batting advantage over that same low-salary pitcher, Brayan Bello. So it looks like you got a good stack opportunity here versus the Toronto Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays you could stack here versus the Boston Red Sox. And stack these bats versus Brayan Bello. So Lourdes Gurriel batting 14% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .833 OPS versus righties. Brayan Bello pitching his worst ball versus righty batters. So there's no at-bats versus Bello yet. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is $2,900 FanDuel salary, 700 more on DraftKings, averaging 9 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored fantasy points in all 5 of his last games, and he has a batting average of .315. So I like Lourdes Gurriel Jr. here versus Brayan Bello.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this MLB slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.